Nobody had lived in that house for 50 years. It stood on the corner of Carson Street, telekinetically broadcasting forgotten terrors into the subconscious of the neighborhood kids. It glowered over the lane, opaque, sagging, like the death mask of what was a home. My best friend James and I, we stood outside for what seemed like forever, hoping the other would chicken out. But this was a rite of passage. They say the woman who lived there went mad. The Spanish flu was spreading like white lightning through a black sky. To protect her 2 young sons from infecting each other, she kept them apart at all times, consigning one to the attic and the other to the root cellar. A mother's love exaggerated to demonic lengths. She locked them up day and night, year after year. Her mind grew sick. Worry overtook reason. The pandemic ended, but her sons remained hidden away. It was for their own good. I thought the door would be locked or boarded up, but it swung open easily. Squealing hinges echoing into the black void of the decaying home. "Which are you gonna take?" asked James. I don't know. Maybe we should flip for it? I said. "Let's just get this over with, okay?" We agreed as we let the coin decide. Over years of isolation, the brothers discovered that the foundations of their home were made of a tall timber, the spine of which ran from the basement to the truss. One tapped, the other tapped back. Over years of confinement, they developed their own language. Each boy had tried to escape in the past, but the home creaked underfoot, and Mother was fast. Her wails filled the halls as she chased her children, ultimately dragging them back to their prisons. There was no outwitting Mother. Unless they worked together. If they worked together, perhaps one boy could make it out. We were 18 years old. We had to do it. There was no choice. I climbed the sagging staircase, taking each step as if there was a landmine beneath it. Cobwebs brushed my face and creatures scurried within the walls, and the shadows spread like cancer through the bloodstream. I was glad I won the coin toss. I should have the advantage. I slid the ladder from the roof and climbed into the pitch blackness of the attic. The space was cluttered with relics. My heart shuddered when I stumbled over a tin can. As my eyes adjusted, I saw it. The beam etched with the names of 100 other boys from generation to generation. Spray painted above them, the words Mad Dash. I scratched up my initials with my pocket knife, put my ear against the wood. Knock, knock, knock. James made it. I took a deep breath and responded on the great oak. It was time to get this over with. I heard another knock. Ready. I knocked back. Set. A pause, and a final crack reverberated through the grains of the beam. Go! I lunged for the open floorboards, practically cannonballing out of the attic, tumbling down into the second story. My arteries pulsated, feet stinging like after jumping from a height into sand. I crashed into the wainscoting. My shoulder punched through the door, knocking the breath from my lungs. I felt hot blood trickle down my forearm into the adjoining room, followed by the stark contrast of a cold, dead hand scratching and clamoring against my skin. I jolted back, disoriented, limping against the wallpaper-torn hallway, transfixed on the hole in the master bedroom door. A dull moan grew into the caterwauling wailing of a banshee. It erupted from the chasm, echoing through the manor like a foghorn blast, and I ran. I ran like the floor was collapsing beneath me. I ran as if my heels were being shredded by rabid dogs. I ran with the hot breath of the devil on my neck. My feet never touched a stair, and portraits of long dead people crashed to the ground as walls shook, vibrating as if a shell had just exploded, dust and plaster raining from the abyss above. I fell to the ground, expecting another stair ricocheting against the register, slamming my head into the grate. I didn't see stars. I saw her. A specter descending a spiral staircase. The face is twisted, neck bent, limbs crawling feverishly towards me. The front door was in sight. I burst to my feet, pushing against the wall to aid in my flight. I reached my hands toward it in anticipation, my skeleton almost piercing through my fingertips in desperation. I turned the knob and suddenly a wrecking ball slammed into me with enough force to knock the life right out of me. Blackout. I awoke in the attic. The hatch sealed shut. Air black as grim death. I wait here, alone, tapping the beam to no one. Sometimes I see other boys, shivering as they etch their names into the wood. I call out to them, but they never hear me.